What do you got for us in the way of gentleness? Do you have any words of wisdom for us?
Well, I do have a couple things to share.
Okay.
Um, so, sometimes it is easier to define something in its fullness by looking at its synonyms, which you already started to do. And I had looked also at Merriam-Webster and found those synonyms of gentleness were kindness, graciousness, soft-heartedness, even lenience and flexibility were on the list. But one word that's not on the list, and this is so important, is the word weakness.
Hmm.
Gentleness is not equal to weakness. And I think sometimes in our culture, it has that connotation, and it's not. In fact, it's just the opposite. It takes great strength
Yeah.
to be gentle.
Yeah.
And I think about that phrase we use, we call someone a gentle giant,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so just because their disposition is marked by a tender heart does not detract from their strength,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I'm actually reading a good book right now. Am I allowed to plug it? It's not my book.
You
I'm
can
just
plug a book, sure.
okay. I'm reading a book right now. It's called A Gentle Answer
Okay. Who's it written by?
by
Scott
Scott Sauls.
Sauls. Okay.
It's a really good book, A Gentle Answer by Scott Sauls. I haven't finished it yet, but it's a
The ending
good
could
book.
be a doozy, but so far so good.
So far, so good. No, but the whole premise of it is that we need to live counterculturally in this very perpetually angry, attacking, outraged kind of world. And the author says that the key to living counterculturally is, in fact, to be gentle.
Wow.
That's the whole premise of the book. And one of the things, too, that I wanted to point out about gentleness is that it's something that we're not necessarily born with. We have to um, we have to learn it. And I think back to when little kids meet puppy dogs for the first
Hmm.
time.
Right. We
What
said
do they
be
do?
gentle. Right. 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 Right.
They want to
They
pull their tails,
pull and bite and yeah, like
or
tugging
they
your
want to,
thing.
right, they want to pat them on the head and knock them in the head. And you have to tell them, be gentle, just, pet
Right.
them lightly. And
That's
I'm
right.
sure you had to do that with the boys when the older boys met, when Caleb and Micah met Jude. You probably had to say, now be
Yeah, be gentle
gentle with,
with them. Be gentle with the baby. Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
knock him in the head.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. It's absolutely right.
It's
Yeah.
something you got to learn. And in the Bible, in 1 Timothy 6:11, it actually says that we are to pursue righteousness and godliness and faith and love and steadfastness and gentleness.
Gentleness.
It's something we have to intentionally practice and work at, and not only towards others, but towards ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's where I know that I've had a lot of struggles because I tend to be much more gentle towards my husband and my friends and even strangers than I do to myself. Um, I when I was younger, it was really bad. I would hit myself, physically hit myself, because I would be so mad at myself or I would be so disappointed in myself. And now, though, as my faith in Jesus has deepened and as I'm able to see myself the way he sees me,
Hmm.
um, I can be more gentle to Gail.
Yeah.
And I don't hit myself anymore.
That's
but I
good.
mean, I did. I would just be like so enraged. And it just, that energy had to go somewhere and I would inflict it on me.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we learn gentleness towards ourselves in order for us to then have gentleness to give to others.
Give to
So,
others. You just opened up a door of the conversation that I didn't even think about. But um, there have been a couple times in my life where I've been like, I'll be like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? I remember there was a time in middle school where I punched a wall because I was so upset about something.
yeah,
But what I've never done was, and I know that a lot of people do inflict like self-harm, and it isn't
Yeah.
actually, it's a huge problem, especially with young people and particularly with young women, where there's
Yeah.
cutting, or where there is this kind of idea of needing to inflict pain to feel the pain, but then
Right.
also to sort of reprimand. And this idea of gentleness, wow, I mean, yeah, you just opened up, you just took it to a level
Mhm.
that, like, I got to put the guitar down to really focus on it. No, for real though, because it's like what does that look like when you're so mad at yourself, or so full of shame, or so filled with guilt, or so filled with, because I think that's what's preventing people from ultimately living the kingdom life. And I think when you talk to Christians, there's like the crazy wackadoo Christians that turn everybody off, and that you're like, what is going on over there? And then you meet these people where there's a relationship with this living God, and there's
Right.
something so streamlined and healthy happening, and they're
Yeah.
filled with the Holy Spirit, and the fruits of the Spirit are evident. And
Hmm.
there's so much, and it usually happens that a lot of broken people,
Hmm.
like Jesus, they met Jesus in their brokenness, they were healed from that brokenness, and
Hmm.
now they have this rich, full life. And when you meet those people, there's
Hmm.
something really, truly remarkable about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, that's hard to like, it's hard to talk about, because it really has to happen to the individual, and that
Hmm.
person to person meeting has to happen in order for it. But when you're hurting yourself,
Yeah.
and when you can drop in and say, hold on, I'm going to choose to love myself in
Yeah.
this moment versus inflict pain, and how do I
Right.
forgive myself, and how do I, and to gently do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really important, and it's key, and it is countercultural, because I think,
Yeah.
the strict, the reprimand is the
Mhm.
thing that, don't be weak, don't be, let's be firm, no pain, no gain. Whereas if it's like, hold on a second, so how do you love with gentleness? How do you forgive with gentleness? How do you be patient with gentleness?
Right. Right.
Because I think it
And
is
if
the verb in all this stuff. I think it is the verb. Like, to be patient is a quality, but there has to be a way to be patient, because you can
hmm
be patient and be grumpy about it.
hmm
But then there's gentleness in waiting for someone, or like not getting angry, like not being hasty to anger.
right. Well, and like you were talking about earlier, I mean, we are, it's okay to be angry. I mean, God gave us emotions for a reason. And so anger is an emotion, and we
Yeah.
see that in Jesus. He does get angry in the temple, and he gets all the, clears the temple of all the people who were selling stuff there, and he's like, this is my father's house, a house of prayer. But that's a righteous anger. And even a righteous anger is to be controlled.
Yeah.
I mean, the anger itself is okay. It's what do you do with it? And of course, as a Christian, we're told, to be angry, but not to sin. And so he is, of course, the perfect example, right? And so to be able to go to the Bible and to look at him and how he reacted to people, because he didn't always, say things that were just sunny and lovely and
Yeah.
light-hearted all the time. He said things that were hard for
Yeah.
people to hear. But that too is a form of gentleness, is being truthful.
Right.
Um, we need to be truthful with one another, but do so with gentleness
Well, there's
and with,
that's also, yeah, that's also really important when you have to say something to somebody that they may
yeah,
not want to hear. But
that's right.
how do you speak that? How do you say that kindly, where you're speaking truth or correction into somebody's life, but you're doing it gently?
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna see who else wants to come on real quick, Gail. Or do you have something
Okay.
else you want to add? Because you made me
No,
think of something, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna let you go, and then I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna bring somebody else on while I'm waiting.
that's fine.
Um, love your heart. Thank you for always coming on and adding something super positive to this, Gail. You know how much
Oh,
I appreciate
thanks.
you. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Take
All
care,
right.
brother.
You too, sister. You have a good week.
You too. Bye.
Bye.